We moved off our 36-foot sailboat Delfino at the start of winter. We've made the most of the time away with adventures around Europe and the US, but it's time to get back to reality and give Delfino some TLC. We wanted to make the most of the winter period to do as much maintenance as possible and make some upgrades that should really improve our next season of cruising. But, as always with boat work, things don't go exactly as we'd planned.
Oh no! So frustrating.
Dehumidifier is not on. How is it otherwise down there, Laura?
78% humidity, 6 degrees, 5 degrees.
You stressed out at all?
A little bit, yeah.
Yeah.
A little bit unnerved by, is it how we left it? Is there stuff that's gone wrong? But it seems good so far. It's pretty cold on board. We're back. We've had a great month off the boat, spending Christmas with friends and family. And today it is the 9th of January and we are back on the boat for 3 or 4 days. We're staying in an Airbnb because, as you can tell by what we're both wearing, it is absolutely freezing cold. And yeah, we've got a couple of boat jobs to tackle that we thought would be good to do while we're not living aboard.
So the big one is to run some new cables between the engine and the battery, which will allow us to generate more power. We're hoping to upgrade our alternator, which will give us more power for the coming season, which is something that we've really found that we needed.
Yeah. Unsurprisingly, our solar panels didn't do very much while we were in Scotland. And we did try to upgrade our alternator while we were in Plymouth, but the cables are too chunky to fit in the existing conduit, so we've got to create some extra conduit, which means doing a lot of drilling through fiberglass. So we thought that was best off happening while we were not on the boat, so we can create as much dust as we want without worrying about it getting all into everything.
All right, let's crack on.
Right, let's get to it.
Stage 1, Patsy. You want yours?
Yeah. Thank you. Oh, it's still warm.
It's very warm.
Let's eat these outside because they're going to make a big old mess. It is very strange to be back. It's like none of the cupboard doors are on, so you can kind of see everything in the cupboard, so you can see all of our stuff, and it's really obviously like home because all of our stuff is here. But then it also doesn't feel like home because all the cupboard doors are thrown on the floor and it's freezing cold and all the cushions are pulled out, and yeah, it's a bit of an odd feeling, particularly having not been here for a month and given that we're not staying on the boat as well. But nice to come back and it not be like really mouldy or really damp inside, so that's good. At least most things still seem to be as we left them.
We've been looking for the cables, and we can't even find them. How can we lose something that big? We've been looking for what, like half an hour?
At least that. 45
minutes? It's boat life in a nutshell. Found them. They're okay, I will admit that I put them in that place, and they're in a really stupid place. We have found them. I think we might have been doing it together, so I think you were also aware. But look, show everybody where they are.
There was a brief suggestion that I might have put them away. I don't think I would have put them. Ta-da!
Ta-da!
Luckily for you, I think we've only filmed about 30 seconds of the past hour and a half trying to find these cables. It's not been fun on board while we've been trying to find these. Been wild accusations flying around. At one point we were like, maybe they've been stolen.
So I think now that we've found those, we should pull up everything else.
We need to put away everything that we've taken out of all of the cupboards so that we can pull up the floorboards.
Yeah, and then figure out sort of where the cables might run. And I think we need to measure the spaces to ensure we've got the right size conduit to put everything
and then
within.
go and buy conduit.
Yeah, exactly. Screws.
Please excuse all of the disgusting nook and crumbs that are around here, but basically this thing that runs through here is a conduit that goes from the aft end of the boat where the engine is up to here where the batteries are and all of the chargers and kind of various electronic control units. So we need to run the alternator cables also through this conduit, but it's nowhere near big enough to get even one of the cables through, let alone both of the cables. So we are going to have to decide which side of that we drill some more holes through to try and run either another pipe and conduit or just the raw cables back there. After having the diesel heater running, basically, for how long have we been here now? 3 hours?
3 hours.
3 hours. It is 16 degrees in the boat, so not bad, but it could definitely be warmer.
Drilling some holes should be a straightforward job, but there are always complications on a boat.
So I have to drill in this structural member, and the drill doesn't even fit in the space.
This is where things start to get awkward.
It turns out that while some of these supporting members are solid fiberglass, some are hollow, which meant that the holes we drilled had to line up perfectly on each side.
Oh no. Oh.
I'm working on my own in the Airbnb today, and I've just had a call from Stu, and as I was picking it up, I was like, I just know that something has gone wrong. Like, what is it and how bad is the thing that's gone wrong? It doesn't seem that bad, but Stu seems quite upset about it.
So, as so often happens with boat projects, just had like a nightmare scenario, and it wasn't even a risk that I was alive to, which is what makes it so stupid. Basically, the end of the hole saw has fallen off the drill as I was drilling, and it's fallen into the hole, and there's a void between two sides of the fiberglass, and I think it's sat now at the very bottom of there. I'm gonna have to try and get that out, but if I can't manage, I don't know what we're gonna do. I mean, we could just fill it with expanding foam to stop it rattling around. Plot twist, that space there is completely filled with water between the two kind of structural members. There's no other way to get in there, so I mean, I could leave it, it's just fiberglass, or I could get through the hole that I've just drilled, get in there with like a pipe or something and try and get the water out of there. I don't know, need to think about it.
Keyhole surgery time!
So we set about trying to recover the hole saw, but neither of us really fancied our chances.
It's like, even if we get it up, how the are we going to get it out of the
hole that's like exactly perpendicular to it. That's why I was like, we need it magnet.
This is a fool's errand. All right, we give up. It's just not going to work.
We tried.
If it makes a noise that's annoying while we sail, we'll just drill a hole specifically to go get it. And if we have to fiberglass that up, then so be it. Going in search of another 51 mil hole saw. Not sure what else I'm going to manage to do, to be honest. Also acquired. This time, make sure this guy is on really good and tight. So now that I've drilled the hole on the other side, I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to use this fluid extractor and just try and get some of the water out of that segment. Oh yeah. See that that's like most of the water in there? Phew. gross.
That is gross. I really want to know if it's fresh or salty water, but like, it looks absolutely disgusting. There's no way I'm tasting that stuff. No way that is going anywhere near my mouth.
So I've managed to drill holes from the engine compartment. You can see there's the entrance, goes through there, through that one, through there. I come around this side. That one already has a hole, holes there, and that one already has a hole. And in there is the battery compartment. Success! I really wasn't sure how that would go, but actually, to be honest, that wasn't too bad, apart from losing the hole saw down in the inaccessible zone, but anyway, I'm sure it'll be fine.
The idea behind running this pipe is that it makes running any wires through the boat significantly easier, as it reduces the chance that they'll get caught on anything along the way. But running the pipe itself did take a lot of brute force.
So, after a bunch of head scratching and puzzling over that diagram, I figured out what cables I need to do to run, what cables I need to run through that conduit. So, we've got pretty hefty red wire for the charge, pretty hefty black wire, a battery sense, temperature sense cable, and this red battery voltage sense. This, the instructions are very clear. This needs to be connected up to the charge system on the alternator side of any charge disconnect. So I think I understand what that means. We've got a charge disconnect which is wired up to our BMS, which will cut everything off if the BMS figures out that there's a problem. So yeah, just going to run these 4 cables through that conduit.
Anyone who's ever owned a boat will probably be very familiar with what is about to happen, but for those of you who haven't had this pleasure, here's an intro to one of the most frustrating jobs you can do on a boat: running cables. The route that the cables need to run is often small and usually has at least one bend in it. Even with the conduit that we'd run, it's still not the easiest thing to get the cables through. The first step is to shove a stick through the pipe, which lets you pull a string through that you can then tie the cables onto and use to pull them through. We've used this little mousing set of flexible and extendable poles so many times since we bought Delfino.
I'll get it out from there. Pretty much our daily routine right now. It's about 10 a.m. Had a nice leisurely lie-in. Laura's back at the Airbnb just doing some work and editing. And I'm heading to the boat, get some boat work done for a couple hours, and she'll come meet me for lunch. So yeah, it's been pretty nice so far. My next project is to wire up this fan and this temperature sensor. Basically, we've got two of these chargers in here, Phoenix Smart chargers. I'm not sure if you can see, but all there is at the back there is just a passive cooling grate, which I suspect is not going to be enough when we come to warmer climates. A little while ago we installed this grate here and drilled a hole. So my plan, fingers crossed, my plan is to, oh gosh, drop a bunch of crap down there. My plan is basically to install this fan, wire it up to this temperature sensor, and then set a temperature on here so that that fan pulls air out of here through the grate when it gets too warm. So I think the plan is, I think these two go into these K1, K2s, and then the red and the black go into 12 volt on ground. The two on the right here will help this thing sense temperature, and these two, when it goes above a certain temperature, they'll just be connected, so this fan should turn on. At least that's the theory. Let's see if we can make that happen. Moment of truth for this little guy. Let's see. All right, turning the power on. Hey, sick. Okay, cool. Yeah, it's about right. 10 degrees. All right, now to wire up the fan. Whee! Sick. Through some careful surgery, I've managed to free this guy, which is good. So I can get to the back of it now. Well, I kept going until all my head torches and everything ran out, so I think it's time to go home for the evening. I am running on empty after that day of hard boat work. Laura's been here.
Hi.
Editing.
Yeah, my little editing station.
And we're about to have some tasty nachos.
And that's genuinely how I felt, like so much relief.
Right, so I'm back. Lights charged, middle of the day, here to finish the job off. Shouldn't be too much left to do. Fingers crossed it all turns on once it's done. Right, so I think everything is put back together. At least it's kind of how it was. So let me flick these switches and see if it works. Get all my crap out of the way. Gotta do you. And gotta do you. So that should turn the lights on. No lights. Why would that be the case? So I've swapped out this, like I had a spare switch, so I swapped the spare one for the top. I checked the resistance across the ones at the top and that seemed to work fine. So, you know, moment of truth. All right, main battery. Heard some stuff go on, which is good. And DC load. And and DC loads. Oh, why isn't it working? It's so frustrating. I have no idea what's going on here. I think, so I put in that new switch and that didn't work, which I think I just showed you. Well, I say new, this is the one from, this is the old spare one. But then when I measured the resistance, it was showing me infinite resistance between these two poles. So I think this was broken too. So I put the original one in there, the one I was using to begin with. And with a little bit of fiddling, I can get the resistance on it to 0. So I'm just going to leave it on, and I think I need to replace these Tri-3. So I've left the DC loads on, that's the top one. I'm going to turn the battery main on, and we should see the lights come on. Way! You see, it came on. Oh, finally. I got the fan working too. Oh, so good. Yeah, so that's currently set to, I think it's set to 4.8 degrees. It's currently 7.8, so pretty chilly. That's the temperature sensor right there. And yeah, fan is on and I can feel air coming out of there. And it's just gonna suck air out of that component and push it out this vent here. So yeah, super pleased with that. That's gone really well. Yeah, it seems crazy to be doing these projects now when it's freezing cold on the boat, but I'd rather get them done now, and then we can cruise without worrying once we're kind of in cool places, you know, once we're in like Spain and Portugal and places that I'm really excited to go explore. It's going to be a couple of weeks until we're back, and when we're back we have a bunch of contractors, somebody coming to install a new inner forestay and furler, which is super exciting. And we've also got some mechanics coming to look at a leak that we've got on the diesel engine and to help us out with the alternator install. But for now, it's just a question of tidying up the mess that's in the boat. It's really bad. You can see there's just sort of crap everywhere. So yeah, I'm just gonna tidy this up and pack up the boat so that she's ready for next time that we're on it. So, it's been a couple of weeks since I've been on board, but I'm here to finish the wiring for the high output alternator. The wires just need to be run along the side of the engine compartment and sort of ready for Monday. We've got some mechanics coming back on Monday to help us finish with the rest of the install. They've already been and they've put the high output alternator on together with some of the pulleys, which is good because I'm still, to be honest, I'm still a little bit like afraid of the diesel engine. I think like I'm getting there, and I think I've watched them enough now to sort of get my hands dirty myself, but still it's great to have the experts around. So I'm really hoping that the work that we're doing now means that next season's cruising will be trouble-free and filled with just awesome adventures in France, Spain and Portugal. To give you a sense for what I actually need to do, so yeah, here are the cables that I spent ages running before, and I need to run them up along the side of here and make sure that they're attached here somehow, and then they're going to run down into the alternator. There's the alternator, so there's the thing that's going to charge our batteries way quicker. This is a 120 amp alternator. We might need to downrate it slightly. So managed to zip tie the cables on. I think it all looks pretty good. Now I just need to, a little bit of a mess I need to clean up back there. But otherwise time to cut and crimp the terminals onto these, onto the actual charge cables. Guess who's back? Oh my god, they're so cute.
These little birds are turnstones, who are called that because they use their short beaks to turn over stones on rocky shorelines to find food. They hung out to Delfino in big groups almost every evening over the winter.
So the last time I spoke to you guys, I just finished running these cables for the alternator. We've just had a couple of mechanics on board that were helping us sort a couple of issues on the engine and helping us finish up the alternator install. They helped us replace the saltwater pump. They put the new feet on the engine, which is a bit of an adventure in itself, but it's all more or less buttoned up. One minor problem with the stop button that's not working, so that's a bit of an issue that we still need to fix. But otherwise, I'm really glad that we sort of put the effort in to really make sure this critical piece of equipment that really is important to keep us safe is running really well. I mentioned we had a couple of challenges, and yeah, it was a bit of an adventure. It involved welding one of the drill bits into some steel that sits under the engine. That was a bit of an adventure, but we managed to get that out. We also discovered that the engine doesn't stop when we accidentally started it. It involved a ton of cussing from Gary over at Twisted Marine, the mechanic, who's absolutely awesome. So now we're going to leave the boat like this for a couple of weeks, and then we'll move back on board in March and sort of get ready for next season's cruising, which should be amazing. You know, the Atlantic coast of France and Spain and Portugal. Got some amazing food content and kind of lined up for you guys, so stay tuned. I can't get over how high it is.
This is crazy.
It's crazy.
Thanks for watching. Next time we tackle the crappiest item on our to-do list and finally move back aboard.